Hello friends, it's Lynan, Saperstein, and I haven't been on Facebook Live in a while, so I thought I'd hop on. I had two amazing calls to start my Monday, to start my week with some amazing retreat leaders. And I wrote down some notes that I want to share with everybody because it's not fair if I just share it with the two people that we spoke with. And then also to point you guys in the direction of my now not so secret formula for how to price your retreat, which I posted last week, but I'm not sure everybody saw. So I want to draw attention over to that. So first off, it's February. February flew by. You know, the year is like picking up very quickly. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. We're starting to see people plan events. I'm planning an event with an amazing entrepreneur here in April. I'm also talking to some amazing people in the travel space about some events later this year. So we are starting to see people say yes, pick up, and start to plan their retreats. So if this is you, whether this is your first retreat or it's your 50th retreat, we want to make sure you are connected in the community. So again, inviting you to introduce yourself, say hello, share your website, tell people what you're up to, interact. You know, if someone asks a question and you have an answer, please share it. You know, I'm the leader, but more I'm the holder of this container. You know, I have wisdom, but I know each and every single one of you has amazing wisdom to share. So, because February flew by, we've got to get some tools and tricks up your sleeve for how you're going to launch and market a really successful and hopefully sold out retreat. So this morning, got to speak to Florence in the group, who is making huge progress on her entrepreneurship retreat in Martinique. And hopefully she has her sales page up. We gave her some feedback. But two of the big things that I wanted to sort of point out that I shared with her when she showed me her sales page were, number one, she didn't highlight herself. She didn't have a picture of herself and even like a 1 or 2 sentence bio about who she was and that she was the host and that she was the one creating this amazing transformational experience. Don't be afraid to share it yourself. You are part of the sale. You are part of the deal. And you have so much magnetic, attractive possibilities within you as the person who created and curated the experience. So don't be afraid to be and own and share yourself as the host of your retreat. Number two, when you have, especially if you have an application process, but if you have any kind of buy now buttons, make sure they're big, make sure they're a bright color, make sure they stand out, make sure they pop off the page, and so people know exactly where to click if they want to apply or exactly where they need to click if they want to buy now and they want to participate in your event. You know, we were going through Florence's page and she's kind of had it as the same size font. There was a line underneath, and if you put your cursor over it, it turned gray, but you really want it to pop. And again, I bring it back to core marketing stuff. You know, we talk about the yellows and the oranges because that's what Amazon has, and that's actually where most people buy things now online. And so they have this natural tendency to click or to hover or to go toward yellow and orange. So if you can do it in yellow and orange and it fits in your branding, do it, okay? One other thing we noticed, we just wanted for her pictures, we were talking a lot about stock photos, her pictures to really represent her event, and this is her first event. She doesn't have past event photos, and so she really wanted to share some of the visual experience, especially because it's in gorgeous Martinique in the Caribbean. And so don't be afraid to go on stock sites, to use photos even though they're not your people yet, but then at your first event, you know, either bring a camera, you know, bring on a photography person, you know, invite one of your participants, if they're a photographer, to bring their camera and take some photos. Maybe you can throw some money their way, but get some great photos after your first time. But it's okay to use stock photos and really go through tons of stock photos and find ones that really feel like they resonate. And we were talking about what we wanted to represent. So if you're in an amazing location, gosh darn it, I hope you're sharing the gorgeousness of that location on your sales page. Second, you really want to be, you know, showcasing the features. So we're going to probably have a list of like what you get for your retreat, but you can show that, right? You can show the resort, you can show the type of rooms, you can show the type of food, you can show a group of people laughing together, you can show like a conference style, you can show a workshop style. You can have photos that visually tell the story of your brand, that visually tell what the people are going to get. So make sure that the visuals, the photos on your sales page also tell the story of what your retreat is, okay? So those were some of my takeaways from talking to Florence. And then I also had the privilege of talking to an amazing woman in Switzerland named Marta, and she is just a rock star. She's been in in the retreat space for 10 years. She's hosted all different sized retreats. She's probably going to be hosting between 5 and 6 luxury retreats this year. She has an amazing clientele that come back for more. She said 75% of her retreat attendees come back for more. They come back every year. And if they don't come back every year, they come back every few years. So she's somebody to watch in the group, somebody to maybe target some questions toward. But I wrote down some great nuggets that she shared. And she was talking about, a lot of people complain about people, who want to come to their retreat saying, this retreat is too expensive, right? And what she has found over the past 10 years is it doesn't matter how cheap or how expensive you are. They're always going to complain, okay? So get used to it. And often what I say is that people are mirroring back any of your money story back to you, and that you have to get really comfortable asking for your worth and asking for the worth of this experience or the way it's going to transform people's lives. So if you can step into that, that can be really powerful. But one of her great tidbits was, that actually her most expensive retreat is the one that sells out first. And it's the most expensive because it's the most luxurious, right? And she still says it sells out every single time because people want that premium experience. So don't be afraid to charge a little bit more, especially if you're somebody who's interested in the luxury market. Apologies, I am a little bit sniffly today. I have a bit of a runny nose. The weather keeps changing here in Texas. It was 80 degrees and then it was 40 degrees. So my body doesn't really know what's going on. So we had 2 questions from the group around pricing. So how do I go about pricing to make money, to make a profit, right? And what is a reasonable markup if I know the cost of the accommodation? Well, I posted a formula last week. Let's see, when did I post it? On February 20th, but I'm going to read it out loud on here. And so it's based on a lot of the formulas I was seeing, a lot of the yoga retreat centers. And there's one number, which is your markup, your percentage of profit that you can alter depending on who you are and the quality of your service or the luxury of your service. So when you say a full cost, it's not just accommodations, right? It's your venue, it's your flight, it's potentially the flight of any of your co-hosts or speakers, all accommodations, so including your accommodations and any of your speakers' accommodations, food, other transportation. So if you're going to include transportation to or from an airport, or if you need to bus them or shuttle them to an experience or some sort of activity, any kind of swag or gift bags that you're going to provide. If you're going to pay for it, you don't have sponsors, that's going to come out of your cost. Additionally, your time, a little bit of your time to plan, have sales calls, build the sales page. All of that needs to be factored into your full, complete cost. Also, any money you have to spend on building that sales page, or any processing fees. So if you're using PayPal or any merchant accounts, they're usually going to take a percentage. So factor that in as well. So that is going to be your full cost. Then you're going to divide it by the number of guests. This does not include yourself, and this does not include any co-speakers, okay? So that is your cost per guest. Then once you have that number of cost per guest, you're going, and that's ideally including everything, right? We have left no stone left unturned. You're going to multiply that cost per guest by a number. So 1 time would be basically you making no profit. 2 times would be charging double your cost, right? Minimum, I want you charging double your cost. I recommend 2.5, right? That's usually a good number to start. And that also gives you some wiggle room in case there's unforeseen expenses, and anybody who's hosted a retreat knows there are unforeseen expenses every single time. And you can't even predict them or where they're going to come from. You just have to have extra money there for them. So basically the 2.5 is how many times the cost, so that's really our profit margin, and I'm recommending minimum 2 to start, especially if it's your first event and you're going to get closer to breaking even. If you're a seasoned veteran, I've seen people doing 3, 4, 5 times cost, okay? And we're always trying to get down costs, but remember that when you're offering a premium product, a luxury product, you can often get a little bit more money. So this is something to put into mind when you're picking your accommodation, or the type of food, or the type of activities, or if you're going to have a co-speaker, anything like that as well. Additionally, What I would say is that, you can have an early bird, and I've had that up there. Also, 10 to 15% lower than price. And price was, again, the cost times your margin, so the 2.5 or 2. I've got a jet because I have another Skype. I hope this helps you guys. If you scroll down on the Facebook group, you can see the actual formula all written out. And then I had a few questions around guest speakers about paying them. Ideally, if it's your first or second retreat, try to find people that are okay with maybe some sort of trade, and just being grateful that you're paying for their accommodations, potentially paying for their flight. But you do have to pay for accommodations for your speakers, always, hands down. The flight is negotiable depending on who they are. I would say if it's your first one, try to get as many people pro bono as possible. Okay, if you have any other questions, pop them below. I'll be back probably every week in March, so I'll be popping up on here as much as possible. So let us know what's going on with your retreats. I love you guys. I'm so excited to connect. So many new people joining all the time, so make sure you introduce yourselves. Talk soon. Bye.